Hello everyone, my name is Jamasi. I'll be taking physics for DMLT and paramedical courses. In this session, we'll be studying the part 3 of the chapter number 2. This is part 3 of the chapter number 2, that is dynamics. So if you have not watched part 1 and part 2 of this chapter number 2, please go and watch part 1 and part 2. So let us begin. So we were in the question number, we have finished, till now we have finished question number 8. Let us move on to the question number 9. Question number 9 says, describe the uniform circular motion in detail. Describe uniform circular motion in details. In detail. So let us discuss this. Okay. So solution. So let us see what is the meaning of uniform circular motion. First thing, we should note the circular motion. Circular motion means a body is moving in a circular path, then it is said to be a circular motion. If it has a constant speed, then we can call it as a uniform circular motion. Let us write the definition of it. Okay. Okay. The definition of this is the movement of a body. The movement of a body, any body, okay, following a circular path, following a circular path, following a circular path is called as circular motion. Is called as circular motion. Is called as circular motion. Okay. Now the motion of the body. Now the motion of the body moving with a constant speed, moving with a constant speed, along the circular path, along the circular path is called as uniform circular motion. Is called as uniform circular motion. Let us repeat. Okay, the movement of the body following a circular path is called uniform circular motion. That is, any body which is moving in a circular path, it is called circular motion. Now the motion of the body moving with a constant speed, then it is said to be a uniform circular motion. This is a simple definition. Okay, here the speed of the body is constant, but the velocity changes. Next point is here the speed of the body, speed is constant, but the velocity changes. Right? The velocity is changing because velocity is linked with direction. So the direction of circular motion will be changing, right? So speed is constant, but the velocity is linked with the direction. That is the reason why velocity changes. Okay, let us write the diagram of this. Okay. So let us take 4 instances. For example, the particle is over here. The particle is over here. It is moving. That is, it will be changing its velocity, right? The velocity is here. Then obviously to continue its circular motion, the force should act inwards. That is the reason why the force will be acted inwards. That is the reason why it will change its direction at particular instances. For example, let us take the particle is over here. Okay, the force will be acting inwards. That is the reason why it will change its direction of the velocity. That is, the vector quantity of velocity will be changing. Let us take over here. The direction of velocity will be here, and the force will be acting inwards. This is force will be acting inwards. And let us take one more instant. It is here. Obviously, the force will act inwards. That is the reason why it will change its direction of the velocity. So these are the sum of the instant. That is the reason why it will be continuously rotating, and it will be changing its particular speed because of the force will act inwards, or you can say towards the center. That is the reason why it will be changing its direction. So this is a phenomenon of uniform circular motion. Let us write some points on this. Okay. Next point is, okay, if a particle is moving in a circle, if a particle if a particle is moving in a circle, if a particle is moving in a circle, it must have some acceleration acting towards the center. It must have some acceleration. It must have some acceleration. It must have some acceleration acting towards the center. Toward the center. Toward the center, which is making it move. Which is making it to move around the center. Which is making it to move around the making it to move around the center. Okay, since the acceleration is perpendicular to the velocity, since acceleration is perpendicular to the velocity, since the acceleration is perpendicular to the velocity, okay, since the acceleration is perpendicular to the perpendicular velocity of the particle at every instance of the particle at every instance at every instance or every instant, okay, it is only changing its velocity. It is only changing its velocity, or it is only changing the direction of velocity, changing the direction. It is only changing the direction of velocity, and the magnitude, and not the magnitude, and not the magnitude. It is changing the direction but not the magnitude, and that is the why the motion is uniform circular motion, and that's why that's why the motion is called uniform circular motion. The motion is uniform circular motion. Uniform circular motion. Okay. Uh, we call the acceleration as we call this acceleration this acceleration as centripetal acceleration. Centripetal acceleration. We call this as a centripetal acceleration or radial acceleration, or you can say radial acceleration. We call it as a radial acceleration, and the force acting toward the center is called a centripetal force, and the force acting toward the center is called centripetal force. is called centripetal force. Centripetal force. Okay, let us recall. Okay, uh, if a if a particle is moving in a circle, for example, this is a particle. We took 4 instances, right? This is first, second, fourth, third, fourth, right? If a particle is moving in a circular motion, it must have some acceleration acting toward the center. So obviously, if it is changing its direction, then it will be having acceleration. So it must have some acceleration acting toward the center, which is making it to move around the center. So that is the reason. If the velocity of if the direction of the particle is changing, then 100%, then we can say that it is having a we can say that it is having a circular motion, right? Since the acceleration is perpendicular to the velocity of the particle at every instance, it is only changing its direction, not the magnitude. Since the direction of the particle is changing, but not the magnitude, that's why the motion is called as uniform circular motion. We call that acceleration as centripetal acceleration or radial acceleration, and the force acting toward the center is called centripetal force. Okay, this is the complete information about the uniform circular motion. Okay, one more point we'll write on this is, okay, one more point, important point in this is, this is not a special force. This is not a special force. This is not a special force. Okay, actually, the force like tension. Actually, force like tension, force like tension, force like tension or friction, force like tension or friction may be cause of origination of centripetal force. Maybe cause of origination of centripetal force. Origination of centripetal force. You can call this as a origination of centripetal force. Okay. When the vehicle, we'll see an example of it. When the vehicle turns on a road, when the vehicle turn on the road, when the vehicle turn on the road or roads, it is the frictional force between tire and the ground. It is the frictional force between tire between tire and ground, which provides the required centripetal force, which provides the required centripetal force, which provides the required centripetal force for turning. So this is the example of it. That is the reason why while turning, okay, some roads are elevated towards the right. For example, if this is a car which is moving in this direction, right? So that is the reason why this portion, that is right portion of this, will be slightly elevated so that it should not uh, it's the friction, to reduce the friction, right? To reduce the friction, we can say this, to avoid the wear and tear of the tires, the right side portion of the, it might be right or left, it will be slightly elevated, right? Okay. So the particles is moving in a circular motion. So if a particle, is moving in a uniform circular motion, is moving in a uniform circular motion. First point is it should have constant speed. Its speed is constant. Its speed is constant. Second point is the velocity is changing at every instance. Velocity is changing at every instant. At every instant. And the third one is there is no tangential acceleration. Third point is there is no tangential acceleration. If it is having tangential acceleration, then it will be non-uniform circular motion. So in uniform circular motion, there will be no tangential acceleration. Okay, and the last point is the radial acceleration. It should have some radial acceleration. That is radial. That is centripetal acceleration. Centripetal acceleration. Okay. Okay. In case of the last point in this is in case of non-uniform circular motion. In case of non-uniform circular motion, there is some tangential acceleration. There is some tangential acceleration. There is some tangential acceleration. There is some tangential acceleration due to which the speed of the particle increases or decreases. Due to which the speed of the particle increases or decreases. The speed of the particle increases or decreases. Okay, the resultant acceleration is vector sum of radial acceleration and tangential acceleration. The resultant acceleration is the vector sum of radial acceleration and tangential acceleration. Radial acceleration and tangential acceleration. Answer. Tangential acceleration. Okay. We'll see some of your examples of uniform circular motion. Examples are example number 1, that is motion of artificial satellite. First one is motion of artificial satellites around the sun is an example of uniform circular motion. Okay. 1 second. Okay. Motion of artificial satellites. Motion of artificial satellites around the Earth is an example of uniform circular motion. Is an example of uniform circular motion. is an example of uniform circular motion. Okay, the gravitation force from the Earth makes the satellite to stay in a circular orbit around the Sun. Because of this reason, I will write that important point. The gravitational force, the gravitational force from the Earth, from the Earth makes the satellite, makes the satellite, makes the satellite, makes the satellites stay in a circular orbit around the Sun. Stay in the circular orbit, circular orbit around the Sun, around the Sun, or sorry, around the Earth. Sorry, around the Earth. This is an example. First example is the motion of artificial satellite. We can say, artificial satellites are we use for Google mapping, and other communication satellite will be there, right? That are artificial satellite around the Earth is an example of uniform circular motion. The gravitational force from the Earth makes the satellite stay in a circular orbit around the Earth. Okay. Let us write one more example of this. It is second example. Second example is the motion of electron around the nucleus. Motion of electron around its nucleus. Around its nucleus. Okay. Third point or third example is motion of blades of the windmills. The motion of blades. It is wind blades, right? The wind blades are blades of the windmills. Windmills is an example of uniform circular motion. And the fourth one is the tip of the second hand. The tip of second hand. Tip of the second hand of the watch, of a watch with a circular dial, with circular dial shows the uniform circular motion. Shows uniform circular motion. These are some of the examples of uniform circular motion. Let us repeat. The first one is, okay, the motion of artificial satellite around Earth is an example of uniform circular motion. Because of the gravity, gravity from the Earth makes the satellite to stay in orbit around the Earth. The second point in this is, the second example is motion of electron in it, around its nucleus. And third one is motion of blades of the windmills. And the last point in this is, or you can say last example is, the tip of the second hand of the watch with a circular dial shows a uniform circular motion. This is the complete information about the uniform circular motion. Let us move to the next one. That is next question. Question number 10. Question number 10 says, denumerate Newton's law of gravitation. Denumerate Newton's law of gravitation. Let us discuss this important, very, very important question. Okay. So let us learn what is the meaning of gravitation. Then we'll learn the Newton's law of gravitation. First thing is, we should know the meaning of gravitation. So gravitation or simply gravity is nothing but it is a phenomenon of attraction due to mass of the body. if any bodies, if any bodies or any particular two bodies, if you take two bodies, they'll have attraction between them because of because of they have mass. So let us write the definition of this. It is the phenomenon of it is the phenomenon of it is a phenomenon of attraction. It is a phenomenon of attraction due to masses of the body. Due to masses of the body. So any two objects will have attraction when they have mass, right? This is the meaning of gravitation. So it is basically it is an attraction due to mass of the bodies, or you can say body. Okay. Let us see the meaning of. Let us learn the. There is a new concept, that is Newton's law of gravitation. Newton's law of gravitation, or you can say universal law of gravitation. We'll write universal law of gravitation. Let us see the meaning of this. Okay, let us learn the definition of this. Newton's law of gravitation is every object attracts every another object with a force which is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. This is the definition, and this is the definition of universal law of gravitation. Let us write the before that we'll study the we'll write the formula, then we'll write, it will become easy for us to define the Newton's universal law of gravitation. So here let us assume that two masses, this is mass 1, that is m1, and this is mass 2 having mass m2. These are the center of the mass. For example, consider this, these are the center of the mass, right? Okay, let us take the distance between these two masses is d, or in some textbook it is given as r. Both are same thing, you can take anything. So I have taken as d. Okay, so the force of attraction between these two masses, that is F, force of attraction between these two masses is directly proportional to mass of first object and the mass of second object. That is, it is a product of first mass and the second mass. Okay, and it is inversely, the force of attraction between these two masses is inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. Okay, if you combine this, you'll get it as F is inversely proportional to m1 m2 by d square. If you remove the proportion in physics, you'll get it as one constant. That constant is nothing but g. Okay, g m1 m2 by d square. Okay, this is the formula of Newton's law of Newton law of gravitation. This is the formula of Newton law of gravitation. So where g is, this g is called as universal law of universal gravitational constant. This g is universal gravitational constant. Gravitational constant. So just look at this formula. We can easily define the Newton's law of gravitation. That is, here force is directly proportional to the product of masses and inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. Simple. So we'll define this Newton's universal law of gravitation. Okay. Okay. I will begin with this. Okay. Every object attracts every other object with a force which is directly proportional to which is directly proportional to which is directly proportional to the product of their masses, to the product of their masses, and and inversely proportional to and inversely proportional to inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. Square of distance between this is the between them. This is the definition of universal law of gravitation. Let us repeat: every object attracts every other object with a force which is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. This is the definition of Newton's universal law of gravitation. Okay. Uh, this law was given by Sir Isaac Newton. As you can by the name itself, you can find it out. This was given by Newton's. This was given by Sir Isaac Newton in 1680. This theory, or you can say this. Okay, this theory was given by Newton in 1680. Okay. Okay. Next thing is, okay, we'll know the value of constant. So the constant, the gravitational constant value is 6.67 into 10 raised to power of minus 7, sorry, minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. This is the unit of Newton gravitation. The unit of Newton gravitation constant is Newton meter square per kg square. Okay, and and in CGS, this is SI unit. This is SI unit is Newton meter square per kg square. This is SI unit. Let us write this thing in CGS unit. G is equal to 6.67 into 10 raised to power of minus 8 dyne centimeter square per dyne centimeter square gram to the power of minus 2. Well, one side. So this is dyne centimeter square gram to the power of minus 2. This is the complete information about the Newton's law of gravitation. Let us move to the next question, that is 11th question. The next question is 11th question says, explain the application of dynamics in medicine. Explain the application of dynamics in medicine. Let us discuss this question. Okay. Okay. Solution for this: application of dynamics in medicine, where the dynamics is used in dialysis. One of the application is used in dialysis. Here, dialysis is nothing but a proper functioning of kidney helps in prevent salt or extra water or waste from the accumulation in the body, and also helps in blood control, that is blood pressure control, and regulates the important chemicals in the blood such as sodium and potassium. There are two types of dialysis, that is hemodialysis and peritoneal dialysis. We'll discuss one by one. The first one is the application of this is dialysis. So application of this is dialysis. Okay, dialysis is nothing but a proper functioning of kidney. Proper functioning of kidney. A proper functioning of kidney helps prevent salt, extra water, extra water, comma, and waste from the accumulation in the body, and from waste from accumulation in the body, or accumulating in the body, accumulating in the body, in the body. Okay. It also helps in controlling. It also helps in controlling blood pressure. In controlling blood pressure. That is BP. Okay. And regulates important chemicals in the blood. And and regulates important chemicals in the regulates important chemicals in the blood, such as sodium and potassium, such as sodium ions, or you can say sodium and potassium. That is K. Okay. Okay. And next one is, there are two types of dialysis. There are two types of dialysis. Let us repeat this. First thing, we will repeat this. Okay. Dialysis. A proper functioning of kidney helps in preventing of salts, extra water, or waste from the accumulating in the body. Okay. It also helps in controlling blood pressure. It also helps in controlling blood pressure and regulating the important chemicals such as sodium and potassium. These are the important chemicals. There are two types of dialysis. Two types of dialysis. One second. Two types of dialysis. First one is hemodialysis. First one is hemodialysis. One second. Hemodialysis. Let us write about hemodialysis. Hemodialysis involves using artificial kidney, that is known for hemodialyzers. It is also artificial kidney is also known as hemodialyzers. It will remove the waste and chemical from the blood, and also it accesses the blood through minor surgical procedure in the arm or leg, okay, or through plastic tube in the neck called catheter. Let us write about it. It involves it involves it involves an an artificial artificial kidney, an artificial kidney, known as hemodialyzer, known as hemodialyzer, hemodialyzer, known as hemodialyzer. Okay, to remove waste, to remove waste and chemical from the blood, and chemicals from the to remove the waste and chemicals from the blood. Okay, it accesses the blood through minor surgical procedure. Blood. Okay, full stop. It access access the blood. It accesses the blood through through A minor surgical procedure. A minor surgical procedure. Minor, I'm sorry, minor surgical procedure. Minor surgical procedure in the arm or leg. In the arm or in the arm or leg, or through a plastic tube, or through a plastic tube in the neck called catheter. In the neck, in the neck, neck called catheter. Called a catheter. Catheter. Okay, let us repeat. Okay, hemodialysis. The first type of dialysis is hemodialysis. Here it involves artificial kidney. It involves artificial kidney known as hemodialyzer to remove the waste and chemical from the blood. Okay, it removes the waste and chemical from the blood. It accesses the blood through a minor surgical procedure in the arm or leg, or through plastic tube in the neck called catheter. Okay, we'll discuss the next one, that is peritoneal dialysis. Next second one is peritoneal dialysis. Peritoneal dialysis. Let us write few points on peritoneal dialysis. It involves a surgical implantation of catheter. It involves the surgical implantation of the catheter. Surgical implantation. It involves surgical implantation of the catheter, of a catheter, of a catheter, of a catheter into the stomach, into a stomach, into the stomach area, area during treatment. During treatment. Okay, during treatment. Next one is same thing in this is a special type of fluid called dialysate. Special type of special type of fluid called dialysate. Called dialysate. A special type of fluid called dialysate is pumped into the abdomen where sorry abdomen where it draws waste out of the bloodstream, where it draws blood it draws blood it draws waste out of the blood. It draws it draws it draws waste out of the bloodstream, out of the bloodstream. Let us repeat this and try to understand this one. Okay. Peritoneal dialysis. Peritoneal dialysis, it involves a surgical implantation of catheter. It involves what? It involves surgical implantation of catheter into the stomach area. During the treatment, a special type of fluid, that is dialysate, is pumped into the abdomen where it draws the waste out of the bloodstream. It basically it takes out the waste out of the bloodstream. This is called peritoneal dialysis. Once again, we'll repeat this. It involves a surgical implantation of catheter into the stomach area. During treatment, a special type of dialysate is pumped into the abdomen where it draws where it draws out waste from the bloodstream. This is peritoneal dialysis. Next one is the second one is uh, hermo, uh, hermodialysis. Let us discuss about hermodialysis. Second one is hermodialysis. Hermodialysis. Let us write about hermodialysis. Here, dialysis was the first used dialysis. Dialysis was first used to was first used to used to treat human patients. Treat human human patient in 1945. Human patients in 1945. It was used for to treat the human patient in 1945. Replaces replaces or supplements supplements replaces or supplements the action of the kidney. The action of the supplement the action of the kidney in a person suffering from acute or chronic renal failure. Person suffering from acute or chronic renal failure. Chronic renal chronic renal failure, or from poisoning or from from poisoning by diffusible substance by diffusible substance diffusible substance such as aspirin, bromide, such as aspirin, bromides, bromides, or barbiturates, barbiturates, barbiturates. Okay, this is about hermodialysis. Let us read. Basically, hermodialysis is nothing but dialysis was the first. Uh, Basically, it is replacement of kidney. This dialysis was the first used to treat human patients in 1945. Replaces or supplements the action of the kidney in the person suffering from acute replacement of the kidney. That is might be natural or artificial. Suffering from a kidney chronic renal failure, a person suffering from acute or chronic renal failure from poisoning, or you can say poisoning from the diffusible substance such as aspirin, bromide, or barbiturates. So this is about hermodialysis. Let us move to the next one. The third type of is peritoneal dialysis. Here, peritoneal dialysis involves repeating of the cycles of installing dialysis into the peritoneal cavity, allowing time for the substance to exchange and then remove the dialysate. And third one is that is peritoneal. We'll write one point on this. Peritoneal dialysis. Peritoneal dialysis. The peritoneal dialysis is nothing but peritoneal dialysis involves peritoneal dialysis involves repeated cycles of repeated cycles. It involves repeated cycles of installing dialysis, instilling, instilling dialysis, instilling dialysis, instilling dialysis into the peritoneal cavity, into the peritoneal, into the peritoneal cavity. Okay, allowing time for substance, time for substance, time for substance exchange, exchange, and then removing the dialysate, and then removing the dialysate. Let us repeat. Okay, peritoneal dialysis. It involves repeated cycles of instilling dialysate into the peritoneal cavity, allowing time for the substance to exchange and then removing the dialysate. So this is the process involved in peritoneal dialysis. This is the complete information about the question, that is application of dynamics in medicine. Okay, let us move on to the next questions. Okay. Question number 12 says, give an outline about acceleration. Give an outline about acceleration. About acceleration. Let us study about acceleration. Okay. So first thing we'll learn about definition of acceleration. Acceleration is nothing but rate of change of velocity is nothing but acceleration. Acceleration. Let us define acceleration. Acceleration definition is, it is defined as a rate of change of velocity of an object is called acceleration. Rate of change of velocity, rate of change of velocity, rate of change of velocity of an object is called acceleration. This rate of change of velocity is nothing but acceleration. Okay, the SI unit of this is, SI unit is meter per second square. This is the SI unit of acceleration. And next point in this is in uniform circular motion. In uniform circular motion. In uniform circular. Next thing is in uniform circular motion, that is moving with a constant speed. That is moving with a constant moving with a constant speed, moving with a constant speed along the circular path, along a circular path. A particle experience an acceleration, and or a particle a particle experiences 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 an acceleration, experiences an acceleration resulting from the change in the direction of the velocity, from the change of the direction of the velocity, direction of the velocity vector, the velocity vector, while its magnitude remains constant, while its magnitude remains constant, while its magnitude remains constant. Okay, let us repeat. Okay, in uniform circular motion that is moving with a constant speed along the circular path, okay, a particle experiences a acceleration resulting from change in direction of the velocity of vector, while the magnitude of the velocity will be same. Okay, this is about acceleration. Let us move on to the next question, that is 14th question. 14th question says define particle. So particle, let us discuss about particle. So particle is the smallest entity of any matter. Okay, let us write some few points on a particle. A particle is the smallest, or you can say a particle. A particle is a small localized object. Is a small localized object, or or entity which can be ascribed several physical or chemical properties, which can be ascribed several physical or chemical properties, which can be ascribed several physical or chemical properties, chemical properties such as volume, density, or mass, such as volume, density, or mass. Okay, let us read once again. A particle is a small localized object or entity which can be ascribed by several physical or chemical properties such as volume, from a density, or a mass. Okay, this is the definition, or you can say example of particle. The next point in this is they vary greatly sized, that is size of the particle, size of the particle, size of the particle is more compared to compared to subatomic particles, like subatomic particles like proton, neutron, or electron. Okay. Next point in this is particles can be used to create scientific models even in large objects depending on the density, such as human moving in a crowd, yeah, or celestial bodies in a motion. Okay, this is the complete information about the particle. Let us move on to the uniform speed. That is next question. Next question is uniform speed. Question number 15th. That is uniform speed. Let us write the definition of uniform speed. Okay, an object an object covers equal distances equal distance in equal intervals of time. Intervals of time is called uniform speed. It's called uniform speed. That is, object from A to B covers 100 meter in 10 seconds. From B to C, again 100 meter in 10 seconds. Okay, this is meter and this is cent, and this is again 100 meter in 10 seconds. Then it is this kind of motion is called uniform speed or uniform motion. Let us move on to the next one. Next question, that is type of acceleration. Next one is type of acceleration. 16th question is types of acceleration. Types of acceleration. Well, this is question number 16. Okay, let us discuss the solution for this. Solution is okay. First, we should know the meaning of acceleration. Acceleration is nothing but rate of change of velocity is called acceleration. It is a rate of change of velocity is called rate of change of velocity is called rate of change of velocity is called with respect to time. With 1 second. With respect to time is called acceleration. The SI unit of acceleration is meter per second square. This is the SI unit of acceleration. So let us discuss about types of acceleration. There are basically three types of acceleration. First one is uniform acceleration. Second one is non-uniform acceleration, and third one is instantaneous acceleration. Let us discuss one by one. That is, first one is uniform acceleration. First one is uniform acceleration. Let us write the definition of uniform acceleration. When an object is traveling in a straight line, when an object traveling in a straight line with increasing in velocity, with an increase in velocity at equal intervals of time, at equal intervals of time, then the object is said to be uniform acceleration. Then an object is said to be in uniform acceleration. An object is said to be in uniform acceleration. Okay. Example for this is a free falling object is an example of uniform acceleration. Free falling object is an example of uniform acceleration. Let us move on to the second. Let us repeat this. Uniform acceleration is nothing but when an object is traveling in a straight line with an increasing velocity, at equal intervals of time, then it is said to be object is said to be uniform acceleration. Okay, the example for this is free falling object is an example of uniform acceleration. Let us move on to the next one. That is, the next one is non-uniform acceleration. Non-uniform acceleration. Okay, the definition is almost same. Only thing we need to replace is unequal intervals of time. In place of equal, we need to change unequal. Let us write the definition of this. When an object is traveling with an increasing velocity, when an object is traveling with an increase in velocity, is traveling with an increasing, or you can say increase in velocity, increase in velocity but not at equal intervals of time, but not at equal intervals of time, but not at equal intervals of time. This is known as non-uniform acceleration. This is uh, okay, this is known as non-uniform non-uniform acceleration. This is known as non-uniform acceleration. Okay. Uh, Example for this is, okay, a bus moving, a bus moving, or you can say leaving from the bus stop, or leaving from the bus stop is an example of non-uniform motion. And the third one is instantaneous acceleration. The last type of acceleration is instantaneous acceleration. Okay, let us write the definition of instantaneous acceleration. Acceleration of an object at any instant of time is known as instantaneous acceleration. Let us write the definition of this. That is acceleration of an object at any instant of time, at any instant of time is known as is known as is known as instantaneous acceleration. Is known as instantaneous acceleration. So these are the types of instantaneous acceleration. Let us repeat once again. Instantaneous acceleration is the acceleration of an object at any instant of time is known as instantaneous acceleration. Okay, these are the types of acceleration. Let us move on to the 17th one. 17th question says, 17th question is universal law of gravitation. Again, we have discussed this. I'm not going to repeat this. Just go through my video. Repeat it. This is universal law of gravitation. We have already discussed this. I'm gonna skip this. Okay. Let us move on to the next one.